Hi, Cherif.
Hi V, how are you?
I'm good. Thank you, sir.
Sure. Absolutely, absolutely. Is this a good time?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. Well, I'm excited about the call because I love your questions and I uh, I hope you're doing well. Where are you located? In Dallas?
Yes, sir. I'm in Dallas, Texas.
Okay, great. And may I ask you what you do for a living?
Um, it's called food delivery. So I just use Uber Eats and different companies that do food deliveries, and I do that. Yeah.
Okay, okay. And you like what you do?
And then besides that part-time job, and then currently I just started with a position as a general manager for a logistic company. But recently we all still on call. So yeah.
Okay, good, good. So I'm gonna read your questions and I'm going to respond, and you can comment and you know, let me know if you need me to clarify anything, and we'll take it from there. Cool?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. So your first question was, I am currently on a self-discovery phase, and I want your advice on how to find my strength and my weaknesses. So, in my opinion, of course, all this is my opinion about life and business, and you're free to ignore what I say if you don't agree, research some more. But I believe the question you have to ask yourself regarding your strengths and weaknesses is the following. Do you have the self discipline and self control? Because it's all about, if somebody has discipline and self control. And it starts with yourself, first of all. And you have to know, do you have bad habits? Do you have addictions? And if you are not, and you are doing the right things and you have some discipline, how do you measure that you have discipline? The question is, are you happy with yourself, with what you do and your accomplishments? Are you healthy? Do you, like follow the proper diet, exercise? Like you have the self-discipline to also follow up on accumulating wealth and doing the right things. And that's what we're going to discover here today. So number one, finding your strength is in doing an introspection, looking at what you do, and if you're able to stay in control and have discipline. Number two is, how well do you interact with others? Are you is Do you have the skill to interact well? Are you able to put things in a, like if you're put in a position to manage people, do you know how to select the right people, motivate them, and direct their focus and efforts to get a particular job done on time and within budget? And have you done that before? You see that if you're able to do that, that's a huge strength. So first, your personal strength, which is your self-discipline and self-control. The second strength is how you interact with others to get things done through them and with them. And then the third thing is, are you able to acquire the knowledge through education, observation, asking others, and taking action to apply that knowledge in a successful way to bring about the desired results? So it's not just about you and others, but about getting a business endeavor done, a specific business model done in a way that you have good judgment, good skills, and it increases your luck factor. So I look at the process of strength in three levels: making yourself strong, making other people around you better because of you being there and giving them direction, and number three, being able to get the job done, being able to get whatever endeavor you seek out. And hopefully with our conversation today, you find your strength and handle your weaknesses, because everybody has strength and weaknesses. Any comments on my long answer?
hmm So it sounds like in order to find my strength and my weaknesses, I have to basically experience more to find out what it is that I'm good at.
Yes, and you have to not just experience more, but pay attention, as in like self-reflect. Like, am I able to handle this? And you don't have to second guess yourself. You can go by what comes to you, your gut feelings and what you've studied, etc. And little by little, you're going to see that you're able to manage your thoughts and your ability to think positively in a way that empowers you, and the way that you communicate with others in a way that gets them excited about things, and then you're getting things done. If you're able to get things done, that's the strongest asset you could have, is ability to get things done. That's the measure of competence. Like, to clarify further, your second question is, I'm lacking communication skills. How can I be great at it? And we spend about 80% of our days communicating. And it amazes me that very few people ask that incredible question you just asked. How can I improve my communication skills? And you look at communication skills, it should be two levels. Level one is how you communicate with yourself. Like, are you empowering yourself, encouraging yourself? You're able to focus on the positive and what's really possible? Or are you talking down to yourself and self-doubting? You see, so number one thing you have to make an effort on is to communicate with yourself in a positive way, in an empowering way. Number two level two, is how do you communicate with others? There are 4 levels to this. Number one is when you communicate with others, how do you talk or speak to get your viewpoints across without offending anyone? If you're good at that and you're able to speak your mind without offending others, that's a huge skill. Number 2 level is how do you listen? Do you listen well and understand what others are telling you without being defensive about what they're saying, or without thinking of your comebacks or rebuttals to what they're saying? So instead, you just focus totally on what they're saying, their demeanor, and why they're saying certain things. And that is a very powerful skill, the listening ability. And number 3 level is, can you now also not just talk and listen, but can you communicate your thoughts and ideas in writing while being clear, concise, and straightforward, so people can read an email, a text, a paragraph, and really get your thoughts and what you want to accomplish, and they get it? And the 4th level is, can you read and comprehend what others are sending you in writing? And this is actually based, believe it or not, on understanding why they're sending it, the word definitions, so not getting lost with a word that you don't understand the meaning of it, grasping the concept and idea behind what they're sending. And if you're actually reading as a communication skill to study something, are you able to move step by step by step? It's called gradiently. The word in English is gradiently, to actually accumulate on what you learn and add reality to the subject matter. And you could do that by looking at pictures, watching a video, maybe doing a drawing, or going to the location to understand something. So let's say you're reading about how to fly an airplane. If you go and look at the airplane and communicate with it, with its gadgets and all this, you'll learn it better. So I will repeat, how you communicate with yourself in an empowering way is most important, because it affects level 2, which is how you communicate with others, which is how you talk, how you listen, how you write, and how you read and comprehend. And that's not difficult to do, so long as you always think to yourself, how can I be open and respectful? How can I actually really tell them what I think without offending them, and listen to their feedback without getting defensive about it from my part? And one of the best people you can observe doing that is Oprah. Oprah is fascinating about how she speaks her mind in a non-offensive way, but is so straightforward. Any comments, any feedback on what I covered with you?
Okay. There's the part where you said that pay attention to how I write emails, and I do notice that when I write emails, I tend to take longer to hit send because I keep going back, changing words to make it more precise. So, do you know how do I make it more precise when I write things?
Excellent. So you write, the way I do it is I write the email once, then I read it out loud as if I am talking. And if there is extra words or something I can say better, easier, or more precisely, I eliminate the extra words and I make it succinct. So in case of 2 paragraphs, I can see if I can make it just 1 paragraph. But when I read it out loud, I not only see the flow of it, I try to assume the position of the listener, whoever is going to read it. And I want to make sure I don't come across too aggressive or too offensive or too demanding. I want it to be straightforward, straight to the point, and concise. And the best way is to read it out loud. And if you keep rereading it, you'll keep adjusting it. So just read it out loud once, adjust it, and then send it. And what if you are actually really mad? Somebody sent you something or left you a message, you're mad, and you compose an email telling them, you know what, I don't appreciate this, and you can go to hell and whatever. Write the email with all your feelings out, and then save it. And then save it. Put it in draft. And go do something else, do whatever, and then come back and open it, and then read it out loud, and see if this is the most effective email you want. Because we communicate sometimes in one of 2 ways. We exchange information or we play with emotions. And you don't want to trigger emotions unless it's a strategy you're doing in negotiating, let's say. Usually the best way is to communicate information. So pull that draft email and read it, and you're going to see that you are really yelling at them, and then start adjusting it by being more factual. If you send an email and you're upset about facts and figures, it will be very hard for them to debate that with you. If you just tell them, I feel offended because you said this and this is the way I took it and all this is all opinions, they're going to say, no, you misunderstood me. But if it's facts and figures and you say something like, you were supposed to meet me at 3 p.m., at 4 p.m. you didn't show up, when I left you a message, you left me back, this is very factual and it's very specific, but then you leave it with a positive note, like, I'm sure this is something we can correct and we can discuss later. Your email in the beginning gets all your emotions out. Your second email is more about no emotions, no triggering their emotions back. It's more logical, it's more intellectual, it's more reasonable, and you'll get a much better response instead of a reaction, if that helps you at all. Cool? Good. Your third question was, what books or programs you think can help me with leadership skills and negotiation skills? What books should I read based on the area that I am lacking right now, or any program courses you recommend? Well, let me first tell you leadership, okay? Leadership is all about self-discipline again and control. It starts with you, just like I started telling you about in the beginning when we talked about self-discovery, etc. The more you know yourself, like Socrates said, know thyself. The more you know yourself, the better off you're going to be as a leader. Because if you know yourself and you are ethical and you know how to behave and communicate with others to build positive relationships, and you know how to set up goals for yourself and commit to achieving them, you know how to stay disciplined, eating the right food, sleeping well, exercising, and being in good, positive mood, and learning how to constantly study, watch people, observe them to see what triggers their reactions in certain ways, what motivates them. All this is going to help you a great deal in leading others, because leading others has to do with 4 things. You're going to lead others. As a leader, you have to do a few things. Number 1 level is clarify and assign. If you're going to lead people somewhere, you need to clarify and assign to them. So let's say you have 5 people under you. You need to clarify their responsibilities and assign the duties to them. So, hey, Joe, you're going to do this. You're responsible for that. Susie, you're responsible for this. This is what I want you to do. And Joanna, this is what you're responsible for, what I want you to do. And Frederick, this is what you're responsible for, it's what I want you to do. So once you clarify and assign, the next level of leadership is you need to motivate and enforce. How do you motivate people? People are motivated in different ways. Some are motivated by getting a title, some motivated by having extra time off, some by having reward of money, bonuses, some by getting more recognition. So once you know your people and you communicate with them, you'll be able to motivate them and enforce the results. people, once they produce results, their morale goes way through the roof. A lot of people think, oh, I got to improve morale so I can get results. Not really. Push for results, clarify, assign, then motivate them to get the job done and enforce for them to get it done. Once they get it done, their morale goes through the roof. You talk to a salesperson after they make a sale, they're so excited they want to make more phone calls. They want to go sell more widgets, whatever they're doing. So then, if you clarify and assign, which is level 1, and motivate and enforce, which is level 2, the third level is you must follow up and correct. So there is always the follow-up. The money is in the follow-up. The results are in the follow-up. And when you follow up, you're going to have the opportunity to correct some things. And once you correct, the fourth level, you adjust, because when you make corrections, things can get unbalanced. Somebody can get upset. Maybe the area is not functioning as well. Maybe things are not connected. You need to make these adjustments and improve. So the 4 levels, I'll repeat them. Level 1, clarify and assign. Level 2 of leadership is motivate and enforce. Level 3, follow up and correct. And level 4 is adjust and improve. And that's how you will constantly, people will admire the results, will like working with you, will love it, because it's going to take them to the next level. Because leadership starts with you setting the good example and leading others to get the job done. The formula I use, because I have to manage a lot of people from a distance, I use a formula called the FACTS system. If you're writing down, put the acronym FACTS, FACTS. It starts like this. I want the job to get done in a friendly, that's the F, in a friendly way. A is for accurate way. I want it accurate. Okay, I don't want somebody to wing it. I want it accurate. I want they tell me this is the number, this is what we did. I want it, the C is for complete, from A to Z. I don't want anything left out. I don't want anything omitted. Complete. And the T is a timely manner. I want it done usually fast. It's so important. Speed and execution is so fast. It's so important. S is for strategic, which is strategic way is to do it in an ethical, safe, and profitable way. So when I say to somebody, I want you to get the job done using the FACTS system, anybody working with me or for me, they know exactly that I need them to get it done in a friendly, accurate, complete, timely, and strategic way, meaning strategic as in, ethical, safe, and profitable. And people know it, so it creates an atmosphere of positive energy because everybody tries to be friendly with each other. They're open, they're respectful, and they this way they appreciate one another, and the communication flows better. The mood, the entire mood of the organization is better. Because as a leader, you don't just plan and execute. What connects planning and execution is setting the climate for positive results. And how do you do that? By saying, here's the culture of this company. We are friendly, we are accurate, we work in a complete manner, we work in a timely fashion, and we are safe the way we do certain things, we are ethical, and we have to be profitable. And people get it, and they communicate that way with their own team under them, etc. So that's the leadership, in my opinion, and I've ran hotels, I run my syndications, I run my commercial buildings, and my events, my education events, all through the same formulas that I've created through the years. Now, let's talk about negotiation skills for a moment. Negotiation really is nothing more than communication skills. If you communicate well, you're gonna actually negotiate very well. So I will give you the 5 steps, if you will. Number 1, know what you want. And know when and how to present it wisely. Okay? So if you know what you want and you're meeting with somebody regarding an opportunity for business or a transaction or something, if you know what you want as an end goal and you know when and how to present it, your chances to get it accepted are a lot higher. So you don't want to present it right away. You want when there is a window of opportunity after you build rapport with somebody. Number 2, know and be aware and stay alert to what they want and how they present that to you. You see my point? Because they also have a goal. How are they presenting it? When are they presenting it? Why do they want it? You see? And so that's number two. So number one is you know what you want. Number two, know what they want and be alert to how they present it. And number three, find a reasonable compromise between what you are willing to give up from your side and what you will get for that in return based on what you are not willing to compromise or give up. Okay, so I'll repeat this one. You're willing to compromise on some things, but some things you're not willing to compromise at all. If you find that balance between what you're willing to give up and what you're not going to give up on, you're going to succeed in the communication skills and negotiation skills, because that's a no negotiation point. I will not do this. Like I was watching a movie about the hostages, and the guy said, we're going to let go of this, but if you don't do this, we're going to kill somebody. And the guy negotiating, the negotiator said, listen, there is no way I'm going to compromise with you and let you kill somebody. So that was like, there is no way, this is not going to be, there's no compromise here. But I'm willing to get you the helicopter, bring you the money, you see my point? There are always some things you're willing to compromise on, and you should know that in advance, and what you will not compromise on. That's number three. Number four, so long as you're reasonable and engaging, the dialogue will continue. So you just have to be in such control of your emotions and work with them. Show them that you're listening to them. You can echo what they say. So they say, listen, I worked hard for this, and you're negotiating. Repeat what they said. Yes, you worked hard for this. Once you agree with their reality, the tension relaxes. Now, the concept of tension, and I call it pressure, can work to your advantage, because you can be very reasonable in your voice intonation, very engaging in your body language, but you're not letting go of some things, which is creating pressure for them. So the final step is you just let time and the pressure and release. Like you create some pressure and then you create a comment or a gesture that releases the tension. The time, pressure, and release work their magic in draining the living life out of the people negotiating with you unreasonably. You see, eventually they will then give in and you'll reach an agreement despite the fact that you are unable to compromise on some issues. So I'll recap it for you and you see how it flows. The 5 steps are in negotiation, which are based on communication skills. Know in advance what you want and know when and how to present it to the other side in a way that it will be accepted. Number 2, know and be aware of what they want and stay alert to how they present it for you to accept it. That's number 2. Number 3, find a reasonable compromise between what you're going to give them and what you're not willing to give them. And number 4, be reasonable and engaging and connect with them so you can then, in step 5, create some pressure without them freaking out on you. And then when you release, like offer the final compromise, they can come full circle and agree on something with you. You will find these steps when you observe any successful negotiation that reaches a certain compromise between the parties, that they at the end have used these, whether they were aware of it or unaware of it. Even hostages and bank kidnappings and all these things, at the end, if people get to connect, they will correct the behavior and they will make it using what they want, what the other party wants, what's reasonable, what can we give you, what we cannot give you, and keep that relationship, create some pressure, then a release with a final answer and compromise, and then everybody connects and it works. Now, are there books about this? Yes, but the books are so theoretical about it. It's nothing like when you practice. You see, I can train you on doing, gymnastics all day, but unless you go and start doing gymnastics, you're not going to get the results. And communication is the same. And if you think of communication as negotiation as communication, because you're constantly in communication, either trying to sell somebody on an idea or have a discussion to learn something from somebody, there is a constant exchange of thoughts or triggers of emotions. And if you weed out the emotions and you stay intellectual, you will notice so much more about how you react and how you can get a reaction or a response from other. Reaction is something that is triggered, a bit more emotional. A response is something more intellectual, more conversation-like, and builds more rapport. You're with me on all this? You know, you got me on my favorite subject, which is communication, because that all business and everything is communication. It's what creates fluidity in life. And by the way, you asked how can you improve it. I do a training, it's called in Cancun, I do that training once a year. I call it Leadership Development and Business Expansion. And it's actually 6 things. We start with how to communicate, then how to set goals and achieve them. There is a very specific way to do that. How to manage people from assigning work to enforcing results. And number 4, how to grow your business based on its potential, the obstacles you face, and we brainstorm solutions. And then number 5, we develop an action plan that an individual will take. And number 6, we do a follow-up that they agree on and hold them accountable. Usually we get results 90 days after the training. So it's like 1, how to communicate, 2, how to set goals, 3, how to manage the people, that, you know, to assign the work and enforce it. Number 4, how to grow the business based on its potential, the obstacles you face. Number 5, the action plan. And number 6, how we're going to follow up to hold them accountable so they can bring the results. We've done very well with it. Even people came up with the challenges that I remember this lady came in one of the events and she said, my challenge is not in business, but in my personal life, I cannot meet the right person. I am successful, so it intimidates others and this. And we worked with her on what her potential in life is, the obstacles she's having, and we brainstormed solutions, and the action plan was to meet people. And believe it or not, less than 90 days later, she was engaged. We saw her a year later, she came in with her baby. She already had a baby. So it was one of my favorite success stories. But anyway, if you're interested, we can follow up with you later when we do the event. It was actually canceled this year because of the COVID thing. I wanted to do it this actually in March, but it's all right. We'll do another one. And if you watch anything I do or how I present publicly, etc., hopefully it will help you with your communication. Any questions on what I covered so far?
No, it's not good.
Okay, all right. So number 4, you said, I work in a corporate and constantly hiring people. I have intervened a lot of people, but I interviewed or intervened?
Oh, sorry, interviewed.
Okay. I thought like you intervened like in people not getting along. Okay. I interviewed. Okay, no problem. That was interviewed a lot of people, but I don't know who's good and who's not. How can I improve on this aspect of people's skills? How can I read people and know when they're lying? Well, I'm going to tell you what the FBI does when they interview people, or CIA when they interview terrorists, etc. It's a pretty fascinating, but yet very simple thing. They actually start by talking to somebody. So you're going to interview somebody. Start by asking them questions that they're very comfortable responding to, such as, so what's your full name? Where do you live? How long have you lived there? Where did you go to school? So these type of questions, they don't have to search how to impress you or anything. They're actually just telling you the truth. I was born in Michigan. I moved to Oklahoma. Then we settled in Florida. Yes, I'm here now, or I'm in Dallas. You see, then this becomes what you call the base communication level, the baseline of communication. You know how they react to certain things in an easy way, and then you can start asking difficult questions. And the difficult questions in interviews are things like, tell me the tasks you did not like in your last job. If I ask somebody to critique you right now, what would they say about you in your last job? Tell me about a conflict that you had with your boss and how you handled it. You see, then you could see, are they as comfortable as they were when they were talking about themselves in the beginning about simple stuff? Or are they just trying to pull from the air some BS stories and lying? And it's very, very hard to tell in job interviews because people know they're being interviewed, they're being judged, so they are trying to impress you more than express themselves. But really the idea is to see their body language, their reaction. If you ask somebody, tell me about your previous boss, and they start moving their leg uncomfortably, that's a reaction that you notice. Then if you tell them, tell me about how you handled your college when you did this, and they move their leg the same way, you know that they move their leg when they're not comfortable about a specific moment or something in their past. So you start really, if you zoom in on people and totally focus, you will see so much. And the best way to learn about liars and all this is to watch how CIA, FBI, and investigators interview people for crimes or try to get information, because sooner or later the person ends up telling you the truth. And you can ask the same question in so many different ways, and then you can see if they're congruent and consistent or if they're lying. And that works for me very well when I actually work with people and I can ask them questions. How was your schedule? And the person, their head goes to the right and they say, oh, it worked, but I was uncomfortable. They made me work every weekend. Then later I can say, would you accept $50,000 a year as a salary? Would that work for you? If they move their head the same way, oh yes, I can make it happen with 50. I can tell they're uncomfortable because they have the same body language, head reaction when they were talking about the schedule they didn't like with their last employer as they are now with the salary. You see my point? So all this, you're trying to see how congruent between what they think, how they feel, what they say, and what they do. Mm-hmm. Your next question was, what's your thoughts on Scientology? Well, every religion has some great things and some brainwashing stuff for people to follow them without questioning things. Now, I try not to judge religions as much as kind of observe and admire the way they make people follow them, etc. I am Catholic. I have friends who are Buddhists, who are Muslims, who are Jewish, who are Hindu, and we've done great business together. I have investors from all different backgrounds. Specifically Scientology, there is, like with every religion, a lot of things I like, especially like some great principles, and some things I don't like and I don't want to follow, and I understand what they're doing with that type of religion. Scientology, what I like the most is I like the part that has to do with how someone has a past that affects them in the present. And that work is based on Sigmund Freud, who actually said, because I read the books of Sigmund Freud many years ago, and Sigmund Freud said, I cannot tell why when I ask somebody to close their eyes and remember an event in the past that bothered them, when I have them open their eyes and come back to present time, they feel so much better. I just cannot find out why, and I need to do some more research. I'm paraphrasing from Sigmund Freud's book. And the book was about the dynamics, how the dynamics change when you talk to an individual by himself or herself versus when you talk to a group, and how the group takes a whole different life and level of communication. So Sigmund Freud started by saying people, when they recollect the past, they improve in the present. Well, in the Scientology, the best work they have, and I don't know all their work, but what impressed me the most, many years ago, I read a lot about how you can get somebody to recollect a past that bothered them so much that didn't even want to confront it. Maybe they even fainted when the situation happened, or they blew up, or they were so offended they shoved it in their subconscious. All of a sudden, you make them go to a specific time, you make them go mentally there through a reverie state where they close their eyes and remember it, and then the more they repeat it, the less effect it has on them. And when similar events happen in the present, they don't react, they can respond better. They don't become defensive, they become more intuitive and more creative, and they are just not so affected by the past. So for that, I was fascinated specifically. On the rest of the stuff, there is a lot I don't like. I mean, they believe in extraterrestrial stuff and some stuff that just doesn't make too much sense.